Yippee-ki-yay! Bruce Willis will do anything for money. So A Good Day to Die Hard starring Bruce Willis and some other guy pretending to be his son. This is the latest installment in the Die Hard franchise. Now, first let me say, I love the Die Hard films. The first Die Hard film turned me into what I would like to call the 1980s action fanboy that I am today. The second Die Hard was, okay. The third Die Hard, which is my personal favorite. And then you had Die Hard 4, which was kind of a letdown, a little bit mediocre and bland, but you know what? Compared to this movie, that was a masterpiece. So in this movie, we meet up with Bruce Willis as he's going to meet his son in Russia, and once he's there, he finds that his son is kind of like an undercover 007 agent, and he has some priorities and a mission to take care of, and Bruce Willis gets caught up in the mix. Now, fair warning, I'm gonna talk a lot of shit about the action scenes of this movie, and don't get me wrong, I love over-the-top action scenes when they make sense, when I actually feel like the character was impacted by what happened on the screen. But in this movie, that doesn't exist. There's literally a car chase in this movie where Bruce Willis wrecks a truck that flips over 17 times, rolls over, and then he just gets out and walks away. But it's not like he was limping or maybe he had like a scratch on his knee or maybe a bloody lip. No. He's fine. He just starts running. It's like you could have the biggest, grandest, badass action scene of all time with explosions and destruction and weapons and guns going off and all kinds of, a white shark jumps out of nowhere and eats somebody. I don't give a shit. But if no one gets hurt and no one really feels any impact of what was happening there, then it's just like, that was a waste. That literally meant nothing. Now, if you put Die Hard in the title of a movie, you better give me some damn good action scenes. I mean, pretty much all the action scenes in this movie consisted of one car chase, and then pretty much helicopters shooting at things. 2 times. I mean, John McClane never even gets his hands dirty in this movie. That's right. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but this has to be said. The man actually doesn't even get in a fight with one bad guy. No, he pulls the trigger a few times, but that's about it. Now, before I talk about character performances and acting and the relationship between John McClane and his son Jack in the movie, let's just talk about my theory on Bruce Willis. My theory is on Bruce Willis, when Bruce Willis used to have hair back in the 80s and 90s, but once those 2 little hairs that he had left on his head fell out, he stopped being Bruce Willis. He just turned it into this robot who just wanted to do every movie he possibly could for money. Except for Unbreakable, that was a pretty good performance. I'll give it to him there. Now, Bruce Willis's performance in this movie and his acting ability really was non-existent. It kind of felt like Bruce Willis came to the set and he's like, okay, you guys got me for 47 minutes, let's do it. And they kind of just filmed everything they possibly could and then later filled in everything else around him. Bruce Willis in this movie was not John McClane. I did not see John McClane in this movie. The cop from, New York who's just having a bad day. I didn't get that at all. I just got Bruce Willis trying to be that version of Bruce Willis that we've come to know. I mean, the character of John McClane in the other Die Hard movies has a lot of subtleties, and he's kind of like a normal, everyday, down-to-earth guy. In this movie, there was no subtleties. It was just kind of random mumblings to himself, especially in the car chase scene. If you guys haven't seen the movie, when you go to see it, the first 10 minutes of that car chase scene, he's mumbling random one-liners to himself. It's almost bizarre. I was like, what the hell is happening here? Also in the movie, Bruce Willis says, I'm on vacation 17 times. And then you have the guy playing John McClane's son, who I'm just gonna call the buffer version of Sam Worthington. Yeah, I guess that fits. Now, that guy's not the worst actor of all time, and hell, he might even be an okay actor, but I'm judging him by this movie, and in this movie, I don't think the script really gave these two anything to do. I mean, there was a little banter back and forth and kind of a generic father-son relationship where in the beginning of the movie, his son's like, I don't like you, Dad, you were never there. The same thing that his daughter does in Die Hard 4, but he's doing it now, even though he's a grown man and a spy, and I think he could take it. Now, the director of this movie, John Moore, who directed Behind Enemy Lines, and that's, I guess, the only movie that I've liked that he's ever directed. Everything else is very mediocre or just plain bad. Max Payne, for example. Okay, let's just do the scene. Okay, and a couple mumbles from Bruce Willis. Your son's just gonna stand there and kind of stare off into the distance and go. I'm trying to think of a positive thing to say. Oh, the movie was rated R. And I was excited for that at first. I was like, okay, rated R, Die Hard, okay, we're back where we should be going. And then you watch the movie and you slowly realize that they could have actually made this a PG-13 movie if they just took out a few fucks or shits in the movie. I mean, yeah, if they would have just took out a little bit of the language, I'm sure this could have easily been PG-13. And when you make a movie rated R, I mean, go for it. Give us everything you want. A Good Day to Die Hard is by far the worst Die Hard movie of the franchise. Very bland, very mediocre. And listen, you know, I did have some expectations for this movie because it was a Die Hard movie, but you know, just judging it as a random run-of-the-mill action movie, I would still give it a terrible rating because Bruce Willis, literally in this movie, you could just get a sense that he was just like, I don't care. So yippee-ki-yay, I'm gonna give A Good Day to Die Hard a D-. I highly recommend you don't watch this movie, don't even rent it at the Redbox. Just go back and watch Die Hard 1 through 3 over and over, and that's all you need. So anyway guys, my name's John, this is the Flick Pick channel. Make sure you check out my last video where I talk about some of my favorite sex scenes of all time. It was Valentine's Day and I was feeling a little bit romantic.